Hi everybody, today I'm going to be explaining mitosis. Mitosis is when our body cells divide to make new cells. Mitosis is important because it helps us grow, heal cuts, and replace old damaged cells. By the end of this video, you will know what mitosis is, why it matters, and the steps of mitosis. Mitosis is the process where one cell divides into two identical cells. Identical meaning that the two new cells have the same exact DNA as the original cell. This happens in somatic cells, which are body cells like the skin, muscle, and blood cells. And remember, mitosis is not how sex cells are made. That's different, and that process is called meiosis. But before meiosis, you need to learn mitosis. But before mitosis also begins, the cell copies its DNA, so each new cell gets a full set. The DNA is like instructions for the cell. When the cell gets ready to divide, the DNA wraps up tightly and forms chromosomes. Each chromosome looks like an X shape and is made of two identical halves, and these halves are called sister chromatids, which are held together in the middle of a centromere. To remember the stages of mitosis, I use PMAT. P stands for Prophase, M stands for Metaphase, A stands for Anaphase, and T stands for Telophase. But before we do that, first we have to know about interphase. Interphase is the longest part of a cell cycle, and it happens before mitosis. During interphase, the cell grows, the cell copies its DNA, and the cell prepares all of the materials it needs to divide. Interphase has three parts. G1 is where the cell grows. S is where the DNA is copied. G2 is when the cell gets ready to divide. Even though interphase is not a part of mitosis, it's extremely important to understand because without it, mitosis couldn't happen. Next is M phase, which is also known as mitosis. Mitosis is the division of the nucleus, and it has 4 stages. As I mentioned before, I use PMAT. First is prophase. In prophase, the cell gets ready to divide. The chromosomes become visible, the nuclear membrane breaks down, and the spindle fibers begin to form and move to the opposite sides of the cell. Think of this as the cell getting organized to do mitosis. Next is metaphase. In metaphase, the chromosomes line up in the middle. And to make it easier for me to remember, I'm just going to remember M stands for middle. In metaphase, the spindle fibers attach to the centromeres, and all the chromosomes line up at the equator or center of the cell. This is important because it makes sure each new cell gets one copy of every chromosome. Next is anaphase, and anaphase is when the sister chromatids separate. I like to remember A as apart. And the spindle fibers pull them apart, and each chromatid moves to the opposite side of the cell. Once they separate, each chromatid is now considered its own chromosome. In telophase, the cell starts to wrap things up. The new nuclear membrane forms around each set of chromosomes, and the chromosomes uncoil and turn back into DNA. Also, the spindle fibers disappear. Now there's 2 nuclei in one cell. Lastly is cytokinesis, which is when the cell actually splits. The cytoplasm divides, and in the animal cell, the cell pinches in the middle, and 2 separate identical daughter cells are formed. Each new cell has the same DNA and the same number of chromosomes as its original. So in review, mitosis is how one cell divides into identical cells. These stages are called prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. You can also remember this as PMAT. And in the end, to divide the actual cell, cytokinesis happens. Interphase prepares the cells, mitosis divides the nucleus, cytokinesis divides the cell. Together, these steps make up the cell cycle, which allows living things to grow, repair, damage, and stay healthy. Okay, thank you for watching. Hope you guys like this video. Bye!